Welcome to the Attention Now podcast, where we talk to successful business people, excuse me, to provide quality content and business mindset. Today on the show, we have Larry Wilcox. Larry is a U.S. Marine, Vietnam veteran, actor, director, pilot, rodeo cowboy, race car driver, entrepreneur, and best known for his TV series CHiPs. Larry, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, David.
It's great to have you on here to talk about your story and how you were able to succeed. You've accomplished quite a bit in your career. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service as well, Semper Fi.
Yeah, thank you. Semper Fi to you.
Awesome. So CHiPs was so popular back in the 70s and 80s. It was actually one of my favorite shows, including Miami Vice, which I ask you a little bit about that down the road. But can you tell us a little bit about your experience from the Marine Corps, transitioning out to becoming an actor, director, and everything else that we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps from 1967. I joined in 67 through 1970, and of course went through MCRD, Camp Pendleton, and then I was chosen to go to OCS, but they told me to sign the contract, and I asked them what that meant, and they said that means you'll stay in the Marine Corps another 6 years, and I said no, not interested. So they said you're going to language school, and I saw myself as in the embassy working in my dress blues in Paris, France, and typical of the Marine Corps, they lost my orders. So next thing I knew, I was in Vietnam during combat, and so I was. They called out my serial number at that point in time on the loudspeaker in Da Nang, Vietnam, and they assigned me to the article that I was reading in Life magazine to this area called Con Tien, which was the hellhole of one of the hellholes of Vietnam, right on the DMZ.
Oh, man.
So anyway, I spent 13 months in Vietnam, and sorry, that was my wife.
Oh, no problem.
After that, pardon?
I said no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. After Vietnam, I came back and was honorably discharged. Got out of the Marine Corps as an E6 staff sergeant, and 3 years in the Marine Corps. And then, came to California and started working and putting myself through college and studying 2 degrees, one with medicine and 2 with film business, entertainment, acting. And I ended up starring in a old television series called Lassie, and I did that for 3 years. And then I, learned a lot about directing and camera angles. And when you're young, you just have this famine for information. So I studied everything I could about film, and went on to star in a bunch of Disney movies and guest star on episodic television, and then did a pilot called Sky Heist, which was a police television series about helicopters. With my co-star was Don Meredith, the famous quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and he was a great guy. And then we went on and didn't sell. And so the next year, the same producer asked me to star in a television series called CHiPs and to help him pick the other actors. So to make a long story short, I did that and starred in CHiPs for 5 years. And then after that, I left the show and went on to produce my own television series, which I developed and produced, called the Ray Bradbury Theater for HBO. And we filmed that in Canada and New Zealand and France and England and the United States. So, big budgets all over the world, and really great talent like Peter O'Toole and Jeff Goldblum and Drew Barrymore, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a, enjoyable time, lucrative, and another great production that I'm proud of doing. Went on to do other productions I won't bore you with, but a lot of different ones. Death of a Playmate, the Dorothy Stratton story, et cetera, et cetera. And when you're the flavor of the month as a actor, you can leverage all that to get production deals done. And then over time, I began to segue or transition into technology. And first in technology, we did compression algorithms, and we were doing full motion video at 20 or 30 frames per second when no one could do 30 frames per second. IBM in their booth at E3 was doing I don't know, 20 frames, 15 frames per
Oh,
second.
wow.
And
Okay.
so we were, way ahead of the game. And, but technology, you have to move quick, because if you start getting an ego about it, it's over. Everyone else is coming at you same time you're bragging about. So getting into the market quick and having strategic relationships are key to increase your velocity in terms of market penetration. So we were slow in that respect. And then I went on to sell that to a telecom company, and then moved from there. Now I'm in a company. I'm a vice president of media and a part owner in a company called UVC Science. And UVC is a ultraviolet light that we use in the spectrum, which sanitizes and rids any surface or air from any bacteria or virus like COVID or anything else. So we're able, unlike anybody else in the world, because there's a lot of misleading marketing going on with UVC,
Yeah.
but we're able to magnify the beam by 1,500%. That kind of magnification instantly kills, literally in seconds. And then we went to universities and to their biological and medical laboratories and had them tested as third parties to verify our patented technology. So now we're in discussions with many distributors, HVAC systems that we put in so your air is clean, ingress and egress of air is sanitized by our UVC science. We have a military grade product that the military could use in a combination of fashions. And then we have a residential product. And so I think UVC will be a major technology in the future, not only because of its sanitizing capability, because in hospitals and medical facilities today, unfortunately, they use mercury vapor lamps, and mercury vapor is very dangerous. If that mercury vapor lamp tips over and breaks, then mercury gets into the air. You can't smell it or see it, but does significant brain damage. And so it's not something you really want in your hospital unless you have all kinds of safety precautions and, some kind of rules in place. Our system, of course, isn't dangerous and has no harmful effects. No ozone or anything else is emitted from it. It can be on robots, robotic, inside the room, under shelves, over shelves, and it can be in the HVAC system. So both air and surfaces, we kill the bacteria. So
And
that's
are
the
you guys?
technology I'm at.
I'm sorry, are you guys for your VC? Are you guys usually going to large manufacturers, or can individuals buy it? How's that? How do people?
Yeah, they can go to our website at
Okay.
uvcscience.net and
Okay.
order it directly, individuals, or contact us. Usually, how we're going to answer your question is direct to distributors. So we go to HVAC distributors, major manufacturers, and then they will resell it into the industrial world in terms of, housing developments and industrial buildings. So that's how we're doing it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Good deal. I wanted to kind of go back to a few stuff from before, back to chips for a second.
Sure.
What was one of the best experience that you had on chips?
Well, it was really great that you get all of this notoriety and income. You get a major income boost. So, you're making seven figures, and that's always complimentary. Number two is you get to indulge your vulnerabilities and weaknesses and insecurities, meaning you can buy trinkets, cars, and jets and airplanes and stuff like that if you really want to. So those are great memories. Met a lot of people across the United States, and now Eric Estrada and myself do Comic Cons together, and we sign autographs and meet, policemen and people in their 40s and 50s who come in and they see us and start crying and thinking about their childhood and how the great memories they had with their mom or their dad. And policemen say that's why they became policemen. They were watching Chips as little boys, and we were their heroes, they say. And I say that with humility because it's just a job. And remember, we're actors, not real. And, but we got to ride the motorcycles and jet skis and pretty girls on the sets. And, we really had a great time and we got paid for it. So I'm very grateful and humbled by the job.
That's one thing I love about you, Larry. You're very humble. And I met you, I think, of like 10 years ago at one of those events, and we've stayed in touch and have had opportunity to get to know you better. But very impressed by your character, moral values, and I think anybody that's looking to do business with a great company, a great person, definitely Larry's the right person to talk to. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah. And I was going to ask you, so one more question about Chips. What was your favorite episode, or I know you were directing some of those as well, right?
Yes, I directed 2 episodes, 2 of the highest rated shows on the series Chips. And so those 2 episodes, I forgot the names of them, by the way. Tow Truck Lady was one, and another one was about dirt bikes. And it was a good experience. You learned that how to set the camera and do multiple setups. In those days, we had no CGI in terms of special effects. So, we had to do everything ourselves, and the stuntmen had to do the stunts, and we would hit them, pedestrians. And I mean, it's just scary what the stuntmen did. We rode our bikes. We went through the CHP training, and we rode our motorcycles. We were really good at it, Eric and I, over time. The close-ups, they put us on a trailer to keep the focus and to decrease the ambient noise from the motorcycle so the recording would be good. So we did that. And, directing those shows, you learn a lot about all of the facets that are necessary, the master, the medium shot, the close-ups, the cutaways, the sound, subliminal suggestion, visuals, all the things that add to storytelling. And so I was lucky really to direct those shows and direct later on in the Ray Bradbury Theater. I think each of those were great, but directing's a hard job because you're first in the morning and last to leave in the
Oh, that's
evening.
true.
So it's a long day to say the least. In those days, we would do 10 pages a day, which is unheard of today, and do 100 plus setups of the camera. So you got to really be on top of your game, and when you get home you got to plan your next day. So stay up till midnight, get up at 5 a.m. and go to work. Big
Gotcha,
days.
gotcha. Yeah, exactly. And I never thought about the part that the director has to be there longer, before and after. So
Yeah.
that does make a big impact. Uh, I was doing some research before getting on here with you. There was a controversy or not controversy. They were talking about it on the internet. There was a episode where a like a gas tanker explodes, and they were saying, did they actually use stunt people? Because it actually is a pretty good explosion, and it shows the two characters just being blown off the motorcycle. Was this? They were asking, was that dummies or was that stunt actors? You know what episode I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, they were stunt guys.
Wow.
They were bare knuckle guys back in those days, and I can remember the stunt guys doing everything from getting hit. We would hit a pedestrian and knock him up in the air, and he'd come down. His head broke the windshield. I just couldn't believe it didn't break his legs and everything.
Wow.
And then the guys jumped off the overpasses and onto a moving bus, and stunt guys did that. They caught on fire. They had those fire suits on, and they wrecked those motorcycles and high sided. Laying that big police bike down, and then having it high side you. They had those ramps where they would jump on a ramp and it would throw them in the air, 20, 50 feet. So I'm sure they, use those in some of the explosions. But to answer your question, they did it.
It was the stunt guys. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
pretty impressive. I remember that even when I first watched it, it's like, wow, that's a great stunt. It was unbelievable. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go back to I mentioned Miami Vice before. What's your connection with Miami Vice?
Well, Miami Vice was one of those, you have ups and downs in your career, and they chose me to star in Miami Vice. Brandon Tartikoff, the president of NBC, chose me, and he wrote about it in his book that I was the one he chose. And the producers and the director chose me also. And so then they asked if I would come in and read with other actors to find my co-star. And prior to that, I had beat out actors like Don Johnson and all kinds of other actors. And so I got the role and I went in and I read with all these actors for literally months. They were trying to find the other guy. And I played really kind of a greaseball character, much different than Don Johnson. It's on my website at larrywilcox.net. You can see the reading that I did.
I saw it.
And
It was really good. I saw it. It's like that was impressive. He did a great job. He's a great actor.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But in the end, for some reason, the writer never wanted me, and since it was his series, he finally overrode everyone, and everyone was upset. But he wanted to go back and recast somebody, so they recast Don Johnson, and I ended up never doing it. And it
Was
was
that
always
before or after Chips?
that was after Chips,
That would have been after Chips.
and
Wow. Holy cow. That
yeah,
would have been a two good rides, but oh well.
yeah,
Things
yeah.
happen for a reason, right?
Maybe shoulda, coulda, woulda. Didn't quite happen.
That's great. Uh,
Yeah.
so transitioning, what would you recommend someone that is in business today or looking to start a business? What's it take to be successful? I know that we learned in the Marine Corps a lot of discipline and work ethic. What else would you recommend for people watching today for them?
Well, I'd recommend reading the book about the 10 tests for your destiny, because your character tests are very, very important. Whether you get thrown in a pit or a hole, and how do you get out of it. You have your ego and you have prosperity. All of those character tests are going to come across your plate at some point in time in your lifespan. And those really determine your destiny. And I think that's really, really important. That's number one. And then in terms of the business itself, it's very important that you're self-aware, obviously, of who you are and what you are not. So you address vulnerabilities, because you are not everything.
Right.
And that takes capital for a company to be successful. Sometimes I felt like I had a poverty mentality in terms of capital. I would raise 300,000 when I should have raised 1 million, or I raised 1 million when I should have raised 5 million. And so, I always think that capital, understanding having extra capital for, a down year or a down 6 months is very, very important. And integrity, you want loyalty and integrity. The Marine Corps always talks about always faithful, and it's very important that you're loyal with all of your business partners and team, and you incentivize them in appropriate ways, and you show them a blueprint of actions speak louder than words, that you walk the talk, and make sure that you're always there for the team. So those are a
Awesome.
few things.
No,
Yeah.
it's good, Larry. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mhm.
You're talking about directing a little while ago. Are you working on any movies any longer, or directing, or what are you doing in that capacity?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple projects. I have one project with the Marine Corps I'm in discussions with, by the way, about all their famous fighter aircraft.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm an aviation junkie, and I'm a pilot, so I love aviation. In fact, after Vietnam, when I was doing chips, I did some public relations for the Marine Corps. I met with the commandant in Washington, D.C., and told him I'd quit chips and all my production jobs and come back in the Marine Corps if I could be a fighter pilot.
Oh my gosh.
But he didn't buy it.
No, okay, all right. Well,
Yeah.
at least you offered.
Yeah. So anyway, this would be a really fun project to film, and kind of like, for, in my opinion, it'd be immersive technology, and then be similar to the Formula One Netflix series about Drive to Succeed,
Okay.
and being a fighter pilot. Obviously, there's another three dimensions in flying an airplane versus on the ground with a car, race car. So, it takes intellect to be a fighter pilot, and, takes athletic prowess. It takes health, in terms of your system has to be clean. You can't be drinking and drugs or any of those things. And, I went through ejection seat training and flew in various planes, A4s, and did high G-force bombing runs, and did ejection seat training. And they have you drink one beer and do this test for all kinds of aptitude to show you that one beer at altitude of, say, 12,000 feet or higher affects your ability to process information. So health is very important in terms of aviation, but I love aviation. So that's another project I'm working on. And then we're negotiating for some projects. We'll see what happens in the film business. Film business is struggling as we speak.
It's changing quite a
And
bit, isn't it?
yeah, very definitely changing, with everything from CGI and AI. They pretty much can replace anybody, writer,
That's
producer,
true.
director, actor.
Right.
So voice, all those assets can be in a library of AI, artificial intelligence. So it's the evolution will tell a lot in the next 1 to 2 years.
Awesome. Awesome. I know people are wondering any plans for a Chips reboot with all these reboots going on. I know there was a movie done not too long ago, but not even close to what the original was. So I just wanted to find out what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I just completed writing a Chips reunion movie where Eric and I are the older guys, and the younger guys are the stars. And but I'm waiting because I'd rather go in with a little muscle, which is funding. And
Right.
so I'm waiting on, hoping to consummate this funding deal that I'm working on. And then if that gets done, then I'll go to the studios. The problem is that the studios are a little gun shy after the movie they produced, because the
Right.
movie
Yeah.
didn't do well,
That flopped. Right.
and they kind of bought the name, licensed the name Chips, and then put it on a movie, Dak Shepard's movie. So I mean, it was good that he got it together and produced that movie, but movies, you never know. It doesn't mean that I produce one, mine's going to be successful. You all try your hardest and roll the dice and see what happens. Sometimes the public like it, and sometimes they don't.
Awesome. Awesome. And if people watching today want to participate in funding, just get a hold of you or me, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
get a hold of David, and feel free to contact David at his contact. Our website is larrywilcox.net, and we're on all the social media stuff, and look forward to talking to anybody through and with David.
Awesome. Awesome. Uh, we're almost, is it almost time? Yep, we're almost wrapping up. So just a question I ask everyone before we wrap up, Larry, and so grateful again to have you on here. What would you recommend for someone? Oh, no, excuse me. What would you like the people listening to today to know or remember about you or your business?
Well, I don't, I'm not really a believer in legacy stuff. What kind of legacy did you leave? But I think the most important thing is that, for me, is that I perpetuated better human beings in my offspring than myself. So anything that I could do to make my children, my loved ones better, that's what I'd want to be remembered for. Chips. The other thing is Chips, I'm grateful for it, but I'm more grateful for being a veteran and a Marine and a combat veteran. So I'm very proud of that. And, life's pretty simple other than that. You just have to walk the talk and show character, and know that we all have flaws. And if you have flaws, work on correcting them. And God bless you. And I thank God for the days that I've had on this world.
Awesome, awesome. Speaking of being a Marine and actor, I think And I think he worked with them too. Lee Marvin, right? Didn't he have on his tombstone? He had something about
Yeah.
being a Marine versus anything else.
Yeah, he was a great guy. We did Dirty Dozen too together in England, and we got along great because I was a Marine and he, being a Marine and a famous Marine, Lee Marvin. But what a great person he was. And then I got to create a funny little character in that movie, so that was fun. And the American dollar was strong while we were filming in London, so we bought everything we could and had a great time indulging. I even bought a little Mini Cooper there and sent
Oh,
it
no
back
way. Oh
from
my
the
gosh.
yeah.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, Larry, thank you so much. Always pleasure to see you. Hopefully we could reconnect again one day. Haven't seen you since last year, so I'm trying to get out to California. I'll look you up then. And
All right.
great talking to you. Thanks for being on the show today.
You're welcome. Good luck to you, David, and keep up the good work on your podcast.
Thanks, Larry. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.